Welcome back to another episode of the Main Quest podcast. This is, of course, the #1 retro gaming podcast that doesn't have apples in its pants. I'm just happy to see you. Welcome to episode 99. As always, I am your host, Keith. Yes, that is correct. 99 games reviewed here on the main feed. Technically, I have nearly 300 episodes in the backlog, and many of those can be listened to over on the Patreon feed. This feed literally could not be done without the help of the patrons. So thank you, and I hope you're thanking them. They are actively paying for the hosting for this. But they are getting the benefits that come along with being a patron as well. And if that is something that you would like to check out, head on over to patreon.com/themainquest and take a gander at the tiers over there. That link is also available in the show notes. Otherwise, there are other ways to support this thing, like leaving a review, telling a friend about the show, which should help get more eyes and ears on this thing. And so what will episode 287, episode 100 be? What game will I be covering? Will I cover a game at all? Will I be doing something special? Will it be a huge blowout like my Game of the Year episodes? Well, I will be covering a game, and that will be revealed at the end of the episode. Unless you follow the show on social media or you're in the Discord, you probably already know what it is. But episode 100, it's just going to be business as usual. I don't want to make a big deal out of it because I think I passed 100 episodes in my second year of doing this. So, yeah, at this point I was doing the Resident Evil series, and then doing random bonus episodes there too. I think in that year, I think I covered E3 for an entire week, so that's 5 episodes right there. That was a dumb idea. One of those was like one of my top 10 downloads too, by the way, which is weird. Anyway, I don't want to do too much reminiscing about the podcast on this episode. I'll save it for next week. Because right now we've got an episode to do, and I'm very excited to have Ryan from Listoff back on. It's been a long time since he's been on a regular episode for the podcast. One of them actually got delisted for some reason. I don't know why. It's the Golden Axe episode. I've been meaning to re-upload that now that I'm on a brand new platform away from Spotify. So Ryan's back. We talk a little bit about the Aladdin movie, what our history is with Disney movies as a whole, Disney animated movies rather, and we get into what we think about this game and maybe the Super Nintendo game. It all ends here. Figure out which one is better. It was a fun conversation. I hope you guys enjoy the show, and I will get back to you guys next week.
Yeah, I noticed it's very since you've come back, it's very conversational. It's not like it seems like maybe it's the guest you've had on, but with Secret Levels and with Super Garbage Day, it seemed very free flowing, more so than a standard run through of the game. It was cool. And maybe it's just because they were more outspoken, but it was good.
Yeah, it's been, I want it to be a little more comfortable. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be so, I don't know if comfortable is the right word. I don't want it to be so structured, even though there is a structure to it still.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's good, man.
So, as you guys can hear, we have a guest tonight, and it's a guest that I haven't had on in a very long time. In fact, I think the last episode you were on, it is now currently delisted. It's illegal.
Is it the Golden Axe episode?
I think it is the Golden Axe episode, yes.
I wonder what we did.
I have no idea.
Music? Probably just music, right?
maybe who owns the music rights to Golden Axe? Who owns that music?
I don't know. I didn't like, I think both of us were generally like positive on the game, right? Like we didn't talk a bunch of crap about it. So,
well, I mean, we made fun of it, but at the end of the day, I think we're both like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Spotify didn't like it. They said no. So, but I'm on a new host, so I think I'm gonna re-upload it.
Yeah, if at first you don't succeed, try again, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So yeah, that voice that you are hearing is, of course, Ryan of Listoff. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Actually, like, can I be Frank?
Yeah.
Instead of Ryan? Dad jokes. No, I mean, I'm good. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for having me on. If I sound like crap, it's because my throat is like ravaged right now. Getting over a little bit of a cold, but I'm here, man, and I'm excited to talk about the game we're discussing today.
Well, if you need any consolation, you sound great on this end. So, I mean, it's been a while. You are a reoccurring guest, so we don't have to talk about who you are or anything like that. But I don't know. Is there anything you've been playing lately? Anything you want to talk about? Like,
yeah,
you reading anything?
Yeah, because actually, in
comic books
context,
these days.
A lot of comic books. Yeah, for sure. I've been really like diving back in. It was always something I was into, but I did definitely take a hiatus from like the week to week collecting. But I've recently started that back up again, and it's been good. It's been very rewarding. It's funny because even though I started like collecting single issues again, I still find myself waiting till like 8 issues of something releases to start reading it, because it goes by really quick once you start reading. So I'm still kind of digesting this stuff in a similar way that I used to when I bought like graphic novels, but I'm just picking them up week to week, so that's been good. But aside from Disney's Aladdin, prior to playing this, I was playing Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is kind of funny because these are like, somewhat tangentially in the same vein. So diving into this game from Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown was a bit of a shock. But the Prince of Persia, like The Lost Crown's a great game. It's really a shame like that those developers were disbanded or whatever. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that. How about you, man?
Yeah, outside of stuff for the show, nothing really, honestly. Ever since I came back, it's just been, I've been busy as hell. Just either doing stuff for my show, people asking me to come on their shows, and I have a problem saying no to people. It's just...
I feel bad. I just asked you like yesterday.
No.
You can say no. You can say no to me.
Technically I did, because you asked me to come on. There was a specific time frame. You asked me to come on, and I said no. I said no way. Yeah. Yeah. Don't take that the wrong way. It's all me too, by the way. It's like people ask me to come on. They're like, "Can you talk about a video game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll come talk about this video game."
Yeah. So I don't know how like you do it, and like other podcasts that cover like a single game at a time. I'm not sure how you guys handle that, and then still manage to guest on other shows that handle games, because like, my show doesn't cover a specific game, so I never feel like pressured to play anything unless I have a guest spot. But to have like that on your show and then have to do the same thing for other shows, like I don't think I could hang, man. You're made of tougher metal than I am.
Yeah, I think probably after I do your show, little teaser, I guess, for the audience here. So after I do your show, I'm probably just going to hang back for a little bit.
I feel that.
There's, some stuff I want to get back on track with you, by the way, but it's just like, it's all me. Like I need to really just like, wow, focus. And I can't,
yeah. I get it.
So yeah, nothing crazy, just reading, just doing a lot of reading. I just started up, John Romero's Doom Guy, which, speaking of mental health, man, that book starts rough. Because he starts it off talking about like his childhood and his upbringing with his parents, and it's rough. I did not expect it to start off the way it does. So I kind of put that down for a little bit, but I'll probably pick it back up eventually. But other than that, yeah, I mean, not much on this end. with that said, we should probably just, with all these problems, we should probably get into it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay. Today, we played Aladdin. So we got to kick off the show here talking about our previous histories with the game. And I'm interested because I had you down for this episode for quite a long time. So I want to hear what your previous history is with this first before I go off here.
Yeah, so I actually played the Genesis version, not the SNES version, which is it's not what you typically hear, right? You hear a lot of like champions for the SNES version, but I had a buddy, a childhood friend who had a Genesis, and when we weren't playing like Landstalker and the NHL games, we were always looking for other games to play. There were a few good, really good licensed Disney games on the Genesis. Lion King we played, and Aladdin. And so I had some childhood memories of playing that. And also I had a neighbor who had it on the Game Gear, and I also had memories of playing it there, but like nothing concrete in my mind, right? Other than at the time, it really did a good job of like reflecting what the movie was. So I remember enjoying playing it, and I remember it like feeling as though you were playing the movie at that stage of my life. And I was interested in revisiting it just to see if it held true now that I'm like an adult and not a dumb kid, So how about you?
I know we're going to really probably talk about the graphics a lot coming up here. And for whatever reason, I was never really impressed by the graphics growing up with this. So this wasn't a game that I owned. This was just kind of like another passing platformer in my childhood, just another platforming game that I rented, played it with my friend a handful of times. And I think part of it too was just that I was so enamored, I guess, with the past couple of Mario games that every platformer on the Genesis just didn't feel right. Like platformers that weren't made by like Japanese developers just didn't feel right. It's not this game's fault, as I'm sure we'll talk about, but nothing about this game just really got me hooked. So I never felt compelled to finish it or play it outside of the few times that I have played it. Let me ask you this. I mean, what's your history with the film?
Wow. I did like Aladdin. I do like Aladdin. I think it's a good film. It's like a really easily watched, like rewatchable Disney film, right? And I don't feel that way about like a lot of Disney movies. I'm not against Disney, and I think it's pretty common in 2025 that you have people who really don't like Disney, and they're, the Disneyfication of film, and they're owning everything. And I think there's an argument to be made there for sure. But I also kind of like popcorn movies and that sort of content. So, Disney, I think, nailed the casting with Aladdin as far as like Robin Williams as Genie. And I've always been a big Robin Williams fan. So that was a big draw, and the humor was great. And they had all these like, little meta jokes in there that like Genie would reference things that were modern at the time. And I think it was a fun watch. It was appealing, and the animation was great, and it had some cool effects too. They were, it was one of the first movies to like incorporate CGI, right, with the carpet ride, escaping the Cave of Wonders and things like that. So part of it was like part of the carpet
I didn't
was,
even know that.
and it was one of like the first times that was really seen in an animated movie. So, I think it did a lot of neat things, and the story was good, and, the movie was good. And, there's Princess Jasmine, like what's to complain about there?
That may have been, well, I wouldn't say it was my awakening, but one of many awakenings. Put lead in my pencil.
Fair enough.
I think Aladdin, so I would say Aladdin is probably one of my top 5 Disney films. I really enjoy Aladdin still. And also, I think this may have been my introduction to Robin Williams.
Wow, that's cool.
I don't know how many things he was a stand-up for quite some time, but as far as movies go, I don't know if he had any other, like, I guess, big movies before this. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Before Aladdin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he absolutely did, right? Wasn't Hook before Aladdin?
Oh, maybe.
Now you're going to make me delve into the world of IMDb.
Here we go. Just like old times.
I mean, like, this was like his prime time. He was doing like Dead Poets Society prior to this, right?
Oh,
he did
right.
Aladdin.
Yeah, that was like in the 80s, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Hook was before this. Good Morning Vietnam was before this. I mean, just Mrs. Doubtfire was like a year later. So he was pretty big.
Okay, I'm an idiot. Okay, so business as usual. But I mean, yeah, I didn't see any of those movies until I was like way older. Well, I saw Mrs. Doubtfire around the same time. Yeah, you said it was like a year later. So yeah, this was, and also, was Hook a Disney movie?
I'm not sure if it was. It had to be, right?
I don't know, because I know him and Disney had like a falling out over Aladdin, actually, because they didn't. I think it was a payment
it was actually
thing.
TriStar Pictures.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think he had beef with Disney because they didn't pay him for Aladdin or something, or didn't pay him as much he was supposed to get paid.
Man, you should always pay Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes the mouse is a little stingy, so.
Right. Not when it's Robert Downey Jr., though.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, man. Did you see the trailer for Fantastic Four?
I did.
I was waiting for Robert Downey Jr. to show up. I'm surprised they didn't reveal that.
I'm sure they're waiting until it's like going to be the surprise in the movie, even though everybody's kind of expecting it, you know?
Let's dive into the development history here. Aladdin is a platforming game developed by Virgin Games and published by Sega. Have mentioned the history of Disney and their game development army plenty of times on this podcast that it's kind of exhausting to talk about it again. So, dear listener, if you would like to check out Disney's gaming arm, you can listen to episodes such as DuckTales or Castle of Illusion, or if you were lucky enough to hear the Hogwarts Legacy episode, it was on there as well. And I don't feel like retreading that kind of ground here just for the sake of brevity at this point, especially since we're having so many communication issues here on the Main Quest satellite. So, yeah, and I've also talked about how much money Sega was throwing at licensing deals in the 90s. It kind of just seemed like if you were a celebrity or you owned a popular IP, Sega was going to make a video game out of you. So Disney and Sega kind of felt like a match made in heaven, right?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, Nintendo was doing the same, right? Like, and maybe just because developers were making games for that console, but like, if you were a hot property during the 90s, like, you were getting a video game adaptation, period.
I don't think it was as egregious as Sega. I mean, Sega was throwing stuff at Michael Jackson,
true,
Michael Jordan, tons of different like NASCAR drivers. Then you had like the different various football games that were named after certain football players at the time. I mean, they were going crazy. And then they had like, they're scooping up Marvel superheroes too. Sega was in the pockets of everybody. So
true. Buster Douglas.
Who?
What, didn't they have a boxing game? Wasn't it like a Buster Douglas boxing or something like that?
You would know better than me. I'm you know what, knowing Sega, yes, probably. Yeah, not to say like, yeah, Nintendo wasn't doing that stuff either, but it just wasn't, like I said, it wasn't as egregious as Sega, because Sega wanted to be better than Nintendo. They're like, oh, hey, you can't play Charles Barkley Shut Up and Jam over on Nintendo, but you can play it on Sega.
Everybody wants to be Charles Barkley, right?
Wait, is that even the right game? I feel like I just made up that video game.
Wasn't there like a Barkley versus Godzilla or something? Or was that an ad campaign at the time? Like, I don't know,
Dude,
man.
I would play Charles Barkley versus Godzilla. Yeah, I would absolutely. If it's not a game, it should be a game. I don't care if Charles Barkley is not even like in the limelight right now. I don't care.
Right? Make it now.
Let's do it. So, I mean, I already mentioned the graphics, and I feel like that's kind of like the main thing we should probably talk about here as far as the development goes. And I guess kind of shoot our load for the presentation part of the podcast. We could dip into that territory now too. But let me back up. Before we get to that, I should probably mention the people that worked on the game. So we've got David Perry, Rob Alvey, David Bishop, Bill Anderson, Nick Brudi, and Tommy Tallarico, which I never thought I'd bring him up on the podcast, but here we are. It's his main quest debut, I guess.
Well, he was involved in a lot of video games though. He was during this time frame.
I'm surprised it took this long for him to come up.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. If this is the first time you're bringing him up, I'm kind of surprised by that too.
We also have to be careful what we say about Tommy Tallarico because he will actually fight us.
Well, you know me.
Like, no, for real. Like, if this gets out, we're talking about Tommy Tallarico.
We have to run for our lives, Keith. You sound like afraid of Tommy Tallarico. Dude, fear Tommy Tallarico, Keith.
There was like this 12-year-old YouTuber who was like talking about the Amico and how it was like failing or whatever. And Tommy Tallarico contacted this like 12-year-old on YouTube who had like, 200 followers, 200 subscribers or whatever, and went on his YouTube channel to like basically talk shit to this 12-year-old.
Hey, Tommy, I'm not 12. I'm not afraid of you like Keith is.
Dude, why?
It's your show though, Keith. I'll respect you. I apologize,
Dude,
Tommy.
You're ready to fight Tommy Tallarico, Uwe Boll. It's going to be a handicap match, dude.
That's all right. I think I'll be okay.
But this was also almost a Blue Sky developed game. And if you're not familiar with Blue Sky, I mean, you could probably just listen to the past 4 episodes of the podcast because they've just been popping up lately. Not on purpose, actually. This is all completely by accident. Right. But they were busy with Jurassic Park. So they're like, well, we can't do this either. Like, we're already on a strict deadline for this thing. So handed it off to Virgin Interactive. And then Capcom nabbed the rights to make Aladdin for the Super Nintendo, which I just found out Shinji Mikami made that game, like the Shinji Mikami of Resident Evil.
I mean, you could see it. You could definitely see it when you play through Aladdin. You could see the spawn of an idea that became Resident Evil.
What is Aladdin like throwing apples at zombies or something? Or like what?
No, I don't know. I'm just messing around. It was definitely the romantic magic carpet ride that gave it away.
Is Jasmine following Aladdin around and being like, Aladdin?
Yeah,
Aladdin! Right. That's a Resident Evil 4 reference, by the way.
Leon, shoot those barrels on that wagon. Look, there's a crank over there. Look, there's a gate here. Look at the ceiling. The door's locked. I can't open it. I opened it, Leon.
No, I got it. Leon.
So yeah, let's talk about the graphics. Graphics real quick. What sold Disney on Virgin Interactive to develop this thing was that Virgin was working on a tool that converts frame-by-frame animation cells to sprites, which is like some sort of technology that they called Digicel, which I don't know if that's like a real name or not, or if it was just kind of like a thing like Sega made up blast processing. Like it doesn't sound like a real thing. This animation style, the way they made these sprites, is like really what sets the Genesis game and the Super Nintendo game apart from each other, in my opinion. I mean, there are other things that set them apart. Like there's mechanics and different level design between those versions that set them apart as well too. But the Genesis version looks so much cleaner in comparison to the Super Nintendo version. And it's funny because, like I said, back in the day, I didn't really think twice about it when I played it as a kid. But playing it now, I'm like, dude, this looks like a cartoon. Like even by
the animation is slick.
Yeah, it's super smooth. Like even by today's standards, like these don't look like sprites.
No, and the movement is very fluid, right? It's almost like that. I guess this is bringing it back to the Lost Crown. It's like that original Prince of Persia, like the way that the characters move is, it's like fluid animation. It's really well done. Even like the villains, like the enemies, you see it in them too. There's not like a loss of quality because like Aladdin's the main character and these are just like enemies. Like you can see it's apparent in almost every design in game.
Yeah, just even in the subtle animations when like the palace guards like pants fall down or whatever and they like emote real quick and then pull them back up, or like the snake charmer playing the flute or whatever, and like all like
or the guy like just shoveling food in his mouth.
Yeah. Like everything just looks like a cartoon. And that's kind of like when you think about this is 1993, man. I mean, when you think about it, like prior to this, like I don't know about you, but like when I would pick up like a new game, like for the Super Nintendo, I'd be like, man, this looks so good. Like this looks like a cartoon I would watch on the TV or whatever, And then for whatever reason, I don't know what it was. Like, I guess I was just a stupid kid that never like registered stupid for it now. But, we live and learn, right?
Right. If we're doing it right, we do.
And so when I think about like the way they animated this, with basically Virgin and Disney working in tandem, Disney created 1,500 new original art pieces for this game. And Virgin then transferred those to over 250,000 digitized cells from the film. And it makes me think of Cuphead and how they made Cuphead.
Oh, wow.
And I wonder if that was I wonder if the way they did Cuphead was kind of like a more modernized version of the way Virgin made this.
Yeah, I'm sure there's similarities. It's definitely like, if not this exact tech, the idea behind the tech that was used in Cuphead is the same as the idea that spawned like Digicel, right? Like essentially transferring hand-drawn artwork into like digital animation.
Yeah, it's I wonder how much of the overlap was there, or maybe possibly anybody from this development team could have possibly
even like advised. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Very, very interesting stuff. And the rumor is so basically Aladdin debuted at CES 1993 and Capcom was there and they saw what Virgin was making and Capcom was like, oh, we need to step our game up. And they actually overhauled the animations for the Super Nintendo version. That's just a rumor. I don't know if that's actually true or not. But it's something I read when I was reading the development for this. So
I wouldn't doubt that seems possible. If like somebody sees it and says like, oh my God, dude, like this is blowing us out of the water. We need to do better. I have a quick question. Out of those 1,500 new original pieces of art, how many do you think were different frames of Aladdin with a sword? Because they definitely didn't have any reference art with Aladdin with a sword, right? He doesn't wield one at any point during the movie, right? Or maybe for like a brief second or something.
Yeah, in the final fight with Jafar,
that's it. Yeah.
He fights off the snake with a sword, but it's not like
true.
You're right. Yeah, he's not carrying around a sword at all in that movie until like the last 2 minutes.
Yeah. Is he in like a street rat outfit and when he fights Jafar in the movie? You're going to make me go back and watch Aladdin.
It's a good movie. You should go watch it. But yeah, he is. He is back to his normal Aladdin self, which is something I'm going to be bringing up a little bit later. So through my research, I found out about this Sega Girls Task Force. Have you ever heard of them?
Not until this, but I did look into them after hearing about them.
So they were this internal production team at Sega of America, And they were formed to address the issues of then limited female participation in video games. And they would research the viability of games developed with a female audience in mind. And so they were part of this. I mean, this is one of the largest development teams at that time. And so this partnership between Virgin Disney and the Sega Girls Task Force is what led Virgin to make the game a little more forgiving than most of the other games that were coming out at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I think it's funny because when I read that, I mean, quote unquote, we made the game easier for girls isn't exactly like a phrase in 2025 that like rings equality.
right.
Like,
for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. And the Sega Girls Task Force was disbanded like after like 2 years after it was created. So like, it's cool that they were even a thing, that like Sega of America even like thought of something like that. But then also like at the same time,
I agree. I mean, ultimately they're just trying to make more money, right? Like expand their audience to make more money. So it's like, it's good that they were, in a way it's a bit forward thinking, but the Sega Girls Task Force, I looked into this after seeing your notes for the show, and they actually led to Genesis use increasing for young girls from 3% in 1993 to 20% in 1995.
Wow.
Now, some of that could be attributed to like the growth of popularity of the console, but that data came from Sega of America. So
yeah, it definitely helps. And it's also like, I mean, 1995, I mean, the Saturn was already out. Not that Americans really knew or cared about it, but
right.
Yeah,
They never did.
I did notice that I think the head of Sega Girls Task Force, I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but she apparently ran for president back in 2012 and was actually like a viable like third candidate.
That's very interesting.
Again, not something Americans particularly care about because there's only two parties here.
Wow. That's right. There is. Oh, it's just a wasted vote, Keith. It's just a wasted vote.
Yeah, I know. Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Don't ever vote with your feelings, Keith. It's just a wasted vote.
Don't make an educated vote. Just don't think.
Oh, don't try
to
break this ridiculous two-party system. It's a wasted vote.
It'll never work.
Right.
Aladdin was released on October 19th, 1993 for the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. It is the third best-selling Genesis game of all time. Thanks, Sega Girls Task Force.
We owe it all to you.
Since then, it has been ported to the Amiga and DOS, the Game Gear, as you mentioned earlier, and Game Boy Color. Interesting note for the Game Boy Color. This is the Game Boy Color version is actually a faithful rendition of this game and not the Super Nintendo one. So take that, Nintendo.
Yeah, your own console.
And then, of course, the Super Nintendo game here, not mentioned because it's neither a port or a remake or anything like that. It is a completely different version of the game.
I was going to say, which one do you think sold more? The SNES version or the Genesis version? Or do you know?
Do you have this information available?
I do. I did the research.
Okay.
I'm prepared.
Man, that is tough because, I mean, Sega and... So this was before... Was this before Donkey Kong Country? I'm going to say it sold more.
The Genesis version?
Yeah, the Genesis version sold more.
You are correct. The SNES version sold roughly 1.8 million copies, and the Genesis version sold about 4 million.
Okay, see that. Wow,
that's a lot
out of the water. Holy crap!
For sure, for sure.
My train of thought here was Sega was winning the quote unquote console war up until Donkey Kong Country came out. So I was trying to think there probably would have been more Super Nintendos in households once Donkey Kong Country came out.
Right.
So that's kind of what I was thinking. But I think Donkey Kong Country released right around this time. So it just probably didn't have enough traction yet. Review scores for context. Computer and video games gave it 80%. Edge, 8 out of 10. Electronic Gaming Monthly, 34 out of 40. Famitsu, 35 out of 40. IGN, 8 out of 10. All Game, 4.5 out of 5. Pretty overwhelmingly positive scores here for Aladdin, as it sold, nearly 5 million copies. So,
I mean, it was the game of the time, the movie of the moment, right? Maybe that had some influence and sway over these young reviewers.
And then, of course, we've got some modern reviews here, so go to Google as always. This first one, normally I pull these up for fun. We have a little bit of a good time here on the podcast, right? I genuinely kind of like this first one that I put in the notes. I don't know how to say this person's name. Munibawa.
Sure.
Gave it a perfect 5 out of 5 and said, played it when I was 8 years old in Pakistan on my Sega. I don't know. I genuinely just like that one.
I like it too.
But of course, EDO6 also gave it a 5 out of 5. It says, Malaysia flag, how do you even play the game anyway? Give me ideas for everything. I always have to do anytime, anywhere. Lamborghini. So New York is going to be so far away. Anyway, I'm going to United States.
Where did you, Google? You should be turning these reviews away.
Google doesn't care. Google's just AI now.
It is.
Thank you all for being here. I apologize for any inconvenience this might have caused. So let's just cut to the point. As the new CGO, I have noticed the company's growth has stagnated. Our current profits are, to put it simply, not sufficient for what I envision.
Chris, I grew weary of this.
Apologies, President Wesker. And to clarify, with all due respect, my name is Keith.
Only those fit for survival will be allowed to carry their genes into a new age.
Right. Yeah, so
Chris!
These figures represent our future capital, and as you know, the market can be unpredictable.
Chris!
Me? Yeah? Yes, Mr. President.
Let me clarify something for you, Chris. 7 minutes is all I can spare to play with you.
Okay. Got it. And again, with all due respect, my name is Keith.
Poor deluded Chris. How you so love your precious self-righteousness.
Well, risk is an essential part of growth, and this is why I present to the board the Main Quest Podcast merch store.
Pathetic. Only a handful of humans truly matter. Everyone else is just so much chaff.
Again, all due respect, sir. Perhaps we can use this opportunity to reach out to a different generation with t-shirt designs that embody the podcast, align with its values, and just look cool.
You will give me an egg.
We won't be selling any food on the merch store, though the markup on eggs is rather profitable these days. We want to dominate the marketplace. What is it you always say? Complete, global, saturation?
Affirmative.
So instead of focusing on the food sector, let's focus on uniquely designed stickers, hats, hoodies, and tanks. The potential here is vast. The more people that purchase something from the Main Quest merch store, the more people become aware of the podcast, and the buyer gets something in return, knowing they're supporting an indie podcast and designer. It is a statement of power, Mr. Wesker.
Impressive. Good work. You will give me a can of first aid spray.
With all due respect, Mr. Wesker, maybe you should go ahead and check out tpublic.com/user/the Main Quest podcast. Or just visit the link in the show notes. You won't find any eggs or first aid spray, but there will be something there for everybody.
Good teamwork. It was in your best interest to assist me.
Sliding into retro recollections here. This is the segment of the show where I read your thoughts about the game that we're covering today. And if you would like to participate, just follow the show on social media or keep an eye out for a retro recollections post there. Also, there's a much easier way to do this. You can just join the Discord. There's a retro recollections channel specifically for this. And all the links for the socials and the Discord, they are in the show notes. And I begin with the Discord community. And we start with Chris Copleen, whose trigger's always on the finger when these pop up. It sure is a pretty game. And a good one until the later levels, where you could tell they were rushed in getting a product out the door. I still think it's better than the Super Nintendo version, as while the SNES version is good, it feels like another generic paint-by-numbers platformer. It's boring. The Genesis game feels like its own thing, and despite its flaws, just feels like a more unique game. Oh, Chris Copleen, by the way, Retro Hangover podcast, if I didn't say that. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played the Super Nintendo version, so I can't say. There is something I agree with him on that I would attribute to this game.
Ooh, interesting.
We'll get into that in a second. Seeky Wisdom says, best version of an Aladdin game in the 90s. Fight me.
Fine. I will.
And this is
I don't know you, but I will.
This is where things kind of...
Look, I'll fight Tommy Tallarico.
I know
I'll fight Uwe Boll. Like, I'm a bad man. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually a pacifist.
This is where things get off the rail because some of these are going to be somewhat out of context, because then people in my Discord started fighting about the Super Nintendo and Genesis version, which of course, I mean, I would never stoke those fires at all. I completely stayed out of it. Left Go from the Afterglow podcast says, I enjoyed them both. Also, I thought it was refreshing to see two games have totally different versions after so many others were the same on both consoles. I lean towards the Super Nintendo one, but both are solid games.
Oh, now it's starting.
Yeah.
This is my version.
Mass Keaton, dag nabbit, Aladdin doesn't use a sword in the movies. He doesn't need one in the games. And the inclusion of the POTC dog?
I don't know. Do you know?
I have no idea. I don't know why I'm whispering.
I don't know either, but we'll keep it between us.
Yeah, okay. The POTC dog is pointless fan service and not canonical to the movie. And then in parentheticals, in case you don't know me well enough, I am absolutely being silly for KG's amusement. Damn it, Keaton, that's too much silliness for my podcast. Don't do it again.
Well, we're going to have to get the dirt on the POTC dog. Did he just like have a typo spelling hot dog?
Are there hot dogs in this game?
I mean, maybe. I didn't find him.
Genie doesn't eat a hot dog at some point?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he does. It seems like something Genie would do.
Is the Genie eating a hot dog fan service?
Maybe. Maybe that was somebody's awakening.
Raging Demon from the Command List podcast, of course. Yeah, there are heaps of Super Nintendo ports that did better than the Mega Drive. Just chill, Nintendorks.
I feel personally attacked.
Sega won this port. Just be humble and admit it. I mean, we just talked about it. I mean, Sega crushed Nintendo as far as the sales numbers go. So he's not wrong. Moving on to the social media side of things. I forgot this dude's name. Apologies. He's been on like many podcasts in the community, and I always forget his name. Awesome account, whether you're on Twitter or Blue Sky or Threads or whatever. Quest64 Official says, I owned both this game and Virtual Bart. Of course, he owned Virtual Bart. He Quest 64, both of which I remember playing extensively and not being able to complete either of them. I think I could beat both of them now, but I can't bring myself back to face the dark shadows of my past, LOL. Maybe someday. Wow, kind of harsh, kind of throwing some shade there. I don't know, man. You have a official Quest 64 account. I don't think you can say anything about Aladdin.
Right. I think one of those two games you mentioned you should revisit.
Yeah. Oh man, Mass Keaton got 2 in here. Oh, he found the loophole.
Sneaky.
Oh, Keaton. Poppy the Keaton says, I put $10 down on the Super Nintendo one on layaway at Walmart. And then I rented it and beat it. So I didn't have to buy it at all. Great time killer. Love the speedrunner feel of the Super Nintendo one. A little bit of input and personal experience here with the Super Nintendo version. Toby Von Doom of Secret Levels, of course, says both games are incredible for different reasons. I think the Super Nintendo version is better. Goobs like the Sega one better. High Score, High Stakes podcast says 100% the Mega Drive version was better. Virgin games were on fire in the 16-bit era.
You know how I know you're British? Mega Drive.
Yeah, you can always tell the people who are like European or part of the PAL region.
Well, I guess that's true. European, I should say.
European PAL region.
Right.
Mega Drive. Matt Bishop says, have this for Game Gear. It's a solid pace for the story of the movie, but every level has a code, so I think I only played through once or twice. And finally, Fanfliction podcast says, loved this game, hard as balls, but the cave escape is forever etched into my memory. So for the most part, besides for some of the infighting, everybody seems relatively positive on this game. Sounds like not many people returned to it though. But yeah, thank you everybody for writing in and contributing. Really appreciate it. One of the most stacked retro recollections, surprisingly. Well, not surprisingly, I guess, if it's sold nearly 5 million copies.
Right. Sold more than 5 million copies between the two consoles. And that's not even considering like the Game Gear version and the Game Boy Color and all that.
Right. Bless the poor soul who had to play this thing on the Game Boy Color.
At least it was the Sega Genesis version.
Right. I mean, how faithful is it exactly, though?
Probably not much.
Speaking of things being faithful to one another, let's go into the story and plot of Aladdin. First of all, I just got to put this out here before we actually talk about the story and plot. This is like the 4th game in a row where like you turn on the game and something neat happens to the publisher logo. It's not as good as Vector Man's, but Genie literally taking out a gun and murdering the parrot is pretty good. It's up there.
It is up there.
So surprisingly, this game doesn't follow the movie at all. It does for like 2 levels, kind of. There's like some minor inconsistencies between this and the movie. And like I feel like once you reach the Cave of Wonders, that's when it starts to do its own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it mirrors the movie for like probably up until that point, but that's more than like 2 levels in. That's like 4 levels in. I mean, how do you sum up a story for this? It has the locations from the film. Aside from that, you're fighting some of the people who would be considered enemies in the film. The game has a surprising lack of Jasmine.
Yes. For a movie that is basically pretty much like a love story for the most part.
Yeah.
Not a lot of that in here.
No, like Jasmine's not even in the game, right?
Trying to remember. Does she show up?
In like one of those in between level scenes. Maybe at the end.
It's been like a month since I played this, so I can't remember off the top of my head. I mean, Jafar's barely in it, and he's the main villain. You don't see him until the end of the game.
Yeah. So here's the thing with the story and plot. They show like, you know how Jafar like disguised himself as an old man in the film? They show the old man version of Jafar plenty, but they never give the reveal that like the old man is Jafar in the game.
Right.
So it's like you never get, if you like played this game without seeing the movie, you're like, oh, there's this creepy old man like telling me to go to a cave of wonders. And like now all of a sudden I'm fighting some guy who turns into a snake, and the two are totally disconnected in your mind.
I will say, and I mean, I guess it kind of goes into gameplay a little bit. In this game and in Kingdom Hearts, Jafar boss fights, horrible. They just, they're not good.
Dude, it's basically just like throw your head at the wall till the wall breaks for the Jafar boss fight. It's like, it's that kind of difficulty. Like you'll get one lucky run, but it's going to take you 100 tries.
Yeah, man. And also like, so I said I was going to bring this Prince Ali stuff up. Aladdin's just like regular old street rat Aladdin the entire game. And considering that, like, I think like 3 of the levels take place in Agrabah, like there should have been some point in between, like maybe, so you start out the first level in Agrabah and then maybe leave that, you know, go do the other stuff. And then just like in the movie, return to Agrabah as Prince Ali, and like you're in this powered up form or something. And there's kind of like, I don't know, maybe like maybe it's just like this set piece or something. It's not even like a real level maybe, but it's like interactive and you can play it. And it's like, it goes with the movie, right? So where is that?
No, that would have been a good level because the Lion King game did something similar with Can't Wait to Be King, right? Like they had that kind of interactive level where you're jumping on all the animals' heads, and they definitely could have gone that route, something similar to that. But even the level, the Sultan's Palace, you could have just been, and I choose to use his full name, Prince Ali, Fabulous He, Ali Ababa.
Thank you.
Strongest 10 regular men. No, I'm kidding. Like even just in that level, you could have had a costume change, you know, but I understand like that's a lot of work. That's a lot more animation. That's a lot more of those cells drawn. So maybe that's why they wanted to avoid it, just to keep like the scope of development down. But it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah. And then even like the palace level, and then the, like inside the genie's lamp and stuff like that stuff's not in the movie. And I guess like you could say like the genie's lamp thing is kind of like just a representation of the crazy things that the genie could do in the movie. I feel like I'm kind of grasping at straws for that one, but
no, I did feel like when I was playing that level, it's the whole you ain't never had a friend like me, right? Like it's a representation of that point in the film. So I did kind of forgive that, but it doesn't go down like in the genie's lamp, right? Or does it? No, it doesn't at all. It doesn't. No, it goes. It's in the Cave of Wonders, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I totally understand why Virgin would kind of decide to like quote unquote make up the rest of the game after a certain point, because like the movie doesn't really lend itself to a video game as well as some other stuff, because like a lot of Aladdin, there's a lot of downtime, and it's most of him trying to find his way back to Agrabah and romance Jasmine and hiding his identity and stuff. Right. And like that stuff doesn't lend well to an action game, you know?
They could have done like a cool mini game where you're like tied to a rock at the bottom of the ocean and try to like get yourself loose, and then you drown. And just to have Genie like, you know, pantomime your mouth for a wish.
There's some like little Disney Easter eggs in this game. They could have put like a Sonic Easter egg.
Oh yeah,
in that level, and just have like his corpse at the bottom of the ocean, because you know Sonic can't breathe underwater.
He can't. That's true. There are like you know the dungeon, the Sultan's dungeon level. They have like some of the skeletons in the background have like Mickey ears on them and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some cool little Easter eggs in there. When you're going through the Sultan's palace, they have like these little animals stacked on some windowsills, and there's a beast from Beauty and the Beast in that stack too.
Yeah, there's all tons of little Disney things that they put in here. What would you give this? What would you rate this game in Easter eggs, Ryan?
Oh God! All right. We're not going down that road. You just let me know when you're ready for that, Keith. All right.
Absolutely. Let's talk about this gameplay. Pretty standard platformer, honestly. Aladdin has 2 attacks. He has a sword, as we mentioned, for close combat, and a secondary attack where he throws apples. He literally murders people with apples for your ranged attack here.
He does. It takes 2 apples for most enemies.
I feel like the sword is the one aspect a lot of Genesis owners point to as this being the superior, or for this being the superior version, and the Super Nintendo does not have it. So I guess my question for you, what do you think about the sword and the close range combat in this game?
I think both weapons are pretty awful. I think the weapon range for the sword is terrible. You pretty much should use your apple for most enemies, because you never really want to get close enough to use your sword. Otherwise, they're hitting you and you're taking damage. I also want to say the hitboxes in the game are pretty awful. There are noticeably like confusing enemies where you're going past some of these statues and you're supposed to like take out the statues, and maybe they're throwing stuff at you, but like there's no clear place you hit them to have them like poof away. It's just kind of like you keep spamming the sword button as you walk past them, and eventually it'll read as damage and they'll disappear. But I didn't feel like that was ever it was never like the same for every statue, so it was weird to kind of deal with that. I felt like this could have needed some tweaking as far as like hitboxes and like the range of the weapons.
Yeah, man, I agree. The sword sucks. I mean, I kind of don't know why it's there. My problem with the apples is that, well, first of all, you can only carry a finite amount of apples. Aladdin doesn't have that much room in his pants, apparently. My thing is that he can't throw them in every direction. He can only throw them side to side and like straight up. That's it. Like no diagonal, no down, like nothing. And to your point about the hitboxes, like, yeah, that's why like you don't want to use the sword. So like a lot of the times once you get hit, and you kind of like, this kind of has like a Pavlov's dog type of idea here where you're just like, okay, I know there's going to be an enemy somewhere. And so you're just kind of like tapping on the D-pad and like kind of slowly moving around because you might see an enemy slightly off screen. And then once you get them into frame, then you can start attacking them. It's not a good way to play a video game. That's for sure. The other parts that I found like really annoying is like if you have to like climb on something, or if you're trying to jump to another platform and the enemy can deal damage to you from far away, that makes like the platforming or the traversal, whatever you're trying to do, like nearly impossible. And so that is another reason why I hate the fact that you can't throw apples diagonally. Because man, sure, it would be so great if I could like get this enemy like diagonally from me that's standing on this other platform. It feels like so limited. I guess Aladdin's movement on the whole feels limited. Like, why doesn't he have some sort of like dash or something? Like, I feel like he moves slower than he should.
Yeah. I think draw distance is an issue in this game too. Like you said, you kind of have to like inch forward till you see the enemies. Like if you're using full speed ahead, you're going to run into an enemy before you really can do anything to them without them hitting you. And like you were saying, when you're climbing up some of the ropes in the game or platforming, you're going to get hit. It's like it's set up to where you're not going to be able to avoid it, and that almost feels unfair in some points. Like it feels like what a lot of older games did, right, to boost replay value, is like they're set up to make it difficult maybe unnecessarily, so you keep coming back, right? Because they didn't have these big, expansive open worlds that you could sink 40 hours into without needing that sort of draw to come back. So I thought maybe that was why, like, a similar way that arcades operated, right?
Right.
Like arcade games operated, but it just feels cheap sometimes. You're like, oh, cool. I just hope I can make it to the next checkpoint before I die so that I don't have to like play this whole bit over again. But if I'm going to say negatives about the game, I do want to say some positives about the gameplay. I think there are some really neat like design choices that are direction specific. And I don't recall seeing this in a lot of games. But in like the desert level, for example, there's a few places where you might kind of shimmy over some spikes. But then when you turn around and go back to where the spikes are heading the other direction, like maybe you're going left to shimmy over them, but then you're going right. And you almost take like a second pathway under the spikes. And it opens up into like this like little like cave area. And it's neat. Like they do that a few times in that level and a few other levels. And I think that's like a really interesting idea, and it wasn't always telegraphed well. Like when you look at the screen, you're not like, oh, there's a place I could get to down there, but it just happens naturally because like that's the path the game takes you on. So I thought that was a really cool thing that like not a lot of side-scrolling platforms utilized to kind of make the most out of like what they had on screen.
Yeah, I mean, this game is worth like the levels themselves. I don't really have a massive problem with the level design. I think where my problem comes in with is the enemy placement, and then just the overall movement. I think that's kind of like my biggest gripe with this game. Level design itself, I agree, and I think this kind of segues into the collectibles for the game, which I also think it has like a great feedback loop. They are worth going out of your way for. These levels are worth exploring. If you don't mind having to deal with the enemies. Yeah. Like the collectibles aren't like a waste of time, like a lot of collectibles found in platformers this old. Like, oh, I'm just collecting this stuff for a high score, basically. That's kind of what a lot of collectibles back then really amounted to. So you got your typical video game stuff, though. You do have some of that stuff. So you got the health pickups.
Right.
Which also, I guess, another minor gripe, the health bar in this game, horrible. It's just, I could never tell how much health I actually had until the lamp started blinking, basically.
Yeah. And even then you have like a few hits left.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the uninitiated.
Reading when you get hit is tough too.
Well, I think that's just the hitbox thing too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or are you just talking about like animation wise?
Yeah, like animation wise. Like when you take damage, it's not like apparent. There's not a lot of good feedback of you taking damage, period. Your character like flashes for a few frames, but that is literally the only thing you're seeing when Aladdin gets hit.
Yeah, I don't think he makes any sounds either when he gets hit, right?
Right.
He doesn't?
I don't recall him making sounds. No, I don't think he does. I mean, to be fair, I didn't play like the original hardware for this game without getting into how I played it. So maybe that was more to do with how I played it. But no, he did not make sounds when he got hit.
Okay. I don't remember him making any, which is an interesting choice because Sega loved to do the whole like, we're going to put voices on our characters. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they did it a little too liberally. So surprising that like, there's not that here. For people who need to know, the health bar is the genie lamp and there's like smoke coming out of it.
Right.
Interesting design choice, horrible execution. Back to the collectibles. So yeah, you got your health pickups, you got continues, there's checkpoints. And then there's gems that you collect, which are used as this game's currency. There are these pop-up shops in the stages that offer lives or continues that you can purchase. And there's these post-roulette stages that are done if you collect a genie head, which also uses up the roulette wheel, then also uses up your gems. So one of the things I'm going to agree with Chris Coplane on, but he said he talked about it with the Super Nintendo version specifically. I thought this game gets boring pretty quickly. Is that a hot take?
I mean, it's essentially the same thing except for the escape from the Cave of Wonders, right? Where you're on the magic carpet. Like, that is the one time they mix up the gameplay. But I mean, I feel like the early levels are all pretty similar. Yeah, no, I don't think that's a hot take. I can see it. I guess I'm trying to talk myself out of it, right? Like, the early levels are pretty similar. The Cave of Wonders I found interesting because it is almost more like a quick play, like you're trying to like have those twitch reactions and get through it, right? Because things are like falling around you, and it's not as much as like that plodding kind of platformer pace that the early levels have. But then the end levels are very linear in comparison to some of the other ones, you know, like the Sultan's Dungeon and things like that. You kind of have like a few routes you could take, it feels like. But then it just gets like very linear and basic, and some of those shorter levels feel very short. So I don't know. For me personally, it never felt that way because it's not a long experience. So I never was like bored by it. But I could see the logic behind saying that. I
mean, you kind of took the words out of my mouth when you're like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty samey, and then there's the also they call it the rug ride, by the way. You know?
Oh, excuse me.
I just gotta get that out of the way because, you know, hey, listen, man, who doesn't enjoy a good rug ride from time to time?
Every once in a while, you need to go for a good rug ride.
Right, you just gotta grab it by the tassels and go with the flow, man. Anyway, yeah, and then it's just so like I played the first level and I'm like, yeah, this is really good. Like, this is great. Played the second level and I'm like, all right, okay, cool. And then I started the third level and I'm like, all right, let's let this cook. It's cooking. And then you get to like the fourth level and it's kind of like, all right, well, it's a different setting. So that's great. But I'm also just kind of doing more of the same thing. And then until the cave escape, it's pretty much just that. And then, like you said, like, yeah. So I don't know. I was just, playing this after Vector Man, which Vector Man has almost too many gimmicks in it. I would say not as gimmicky as something like Earthworm Jim. I think Vector Man, I think I said, like, struggled from it being too long of a game. And so they kind of reused some of those gimmicks a little too much. This doesn't like have anything. And like, yeah, it's a short experience, but also like, you know, overall, I mean, I'm going to say like the gameplay, it's not bad. It just feels bland. Like I feel like it needs something else. And so though it's short, it's a little unmemorable. Yeah. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely fair to say.
And I don't know. And then also for me, like, you know, you could have had like, I mentioned it already, but like you could have had, you know, maybe the first stage where like you're Aladdin and somehow maybe you feel, I don't know how you would do this. I'm not a game designer. I'm sure somebody could do it. Maybe make him feel like a little less empowered, and then have him come back again to Agrabah, have him be Prince Ali, make you feel like a stronger character, like you've done something, or maybe even just have the Prince Ali stuff, make that a power up, like the superstar in Mario or something. Like have him be, there's no invincibility power up in this game. The Prince Ali thing could have been some sort of power up, right? This game needed something.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that would have been a good way to incorporate it. Yeah,
so yeah, overall, I don't think like there's anything like truly terrible about the gameplay. Yeah, there's like a lot of bull crap with the hit detection, like you said. Aladdin doesn't move very well. Yeah, like you said, if they had like maybe one more pass, which like, by the way, I think I don't think I mentioned it in the development history, But they only had 100 days to make this game.
That's wild.
You know, in comparison, I mean, obviously, it takes like 8 years to make a video game these days. So they really had to crunch. So maybe a lot of the gameplay aspects, like in his movement and stuff like that, probably would have been better if they had more time. But either way, I mean, that's what the game is. And it just, some of this just feels a little squandered.
It's difficult. I don't know how this Sega Girls Task Force made it easy. I used save states, and I don't think I would have gotten through it without save states.
I didn't use any save states until the final boss, when I was like, okay, I need to finish this and I'm dying too much. I think the gems make this game like really forgiving. Like I had a ton of continues and a ton of lives by the time I reached Jafar. Well,
as long as you could find the shop.
The Cave of Wonders really took a toll on my stack of lives. So here's the other thing too that I didn't talk about. I have in my notes here. So the Cave of Wonders, if you die enough times, they're just like, all right, go ahead. You made it. Like, why not? They just like give you a pass.
Yeah.
But I had to die like 7 or 8 times though before they did that. But like also like the levels just end. Like just unceremoniously, like you'll reach a point of the level and like a screen will pop up and be like level complete. And it's like, what?
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Like
you just exit stage left and you're gone.
Yeah. So a little weird, but again, 100 days to make this game. Let's move on to today's game, and I'm very excited because Ryan, I mean, you haven't had a quiz in quite a long time, and you've gone down in main quest history. I mean, you were the first to score like a perfect 100% like way back in the day.
I don't know how I did it.
I'm interested to see how you're going to do today. This is a game I would like to call The Monkey's Paw. Now, as we all know, as gamers, as believers, everyone wishes for the thing they love to get remade, or at least get a re-release, right? And what if that wish came true, Ryan? What if that happened?
Sweet joy.
But also, what if it went horribly wrong, like it does in like those Wishmaster movies?
I mean, that's the monkey's paw in a nutshell, isn't it?
I'm going to give you 3 clues. And based on those clues, I need you to guess the remake, remaster, or release or whatever that I'm talking about.
Okay.
The main hint you need to keep in mind is that these are tragically broken and horrible remasters or remakes. Because it's The Monkey's Paw, of course.
Okay. I don't do well under pressure, but I hope to get at least one right.
Here we go. Your first clue. Well, first clue. Remake of a 2003 GameCube release.
Okay. I'm going to need a second clue.
Second one? Gotcha. Cell-shaded comic book first-person shooter.
Okay, 13.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Dude, you're already off to a good start.
I got one right. I'm happy. I could die happy now.
Game the Second. This is a 2012 PlayStation 3 360 remaster.
Could you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
It is a 2012 PlayStation 3/360 release of a remaster.
A PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 release of a remaster.
Also, like 2012, late in the life cycle of those consoles.
Okay, I'm probably going to need a second clue.
Okay, gotcha. It is a collection of remasters.
Is this like the rare retro collection or something like that? No, because it wouldn't be on PlayStation 3 if it was rare. Okay, I'm going to need the third clue.
The HD graphics in this game really clears up the weather.
Oh, what? What? Oh, is this like Silent Hill collection?
Yes, it is. It is the Silent Hill HD collection. Yep. Famously gets rid of the fog.
Yeah, I know. It takes away like all the fear. I do recall reading that. I never actually played the collection, so lucky me.
All right, it'll be interesting if you get this one. You know what? I feel like you're going to get this one, knowing what I know about you. This is a 2013 remake of an Amiga game.
All right, a 2013 remake of a what game?
An Amiga game.
I don't know. I'm going to need a clue. The second.
It is like the Amiga game. Okay. Second clue. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. What's an Amiga?
Oh,
wow.
Well, it did. Okay. This is your second clue. This remake is more dystopian than the game's actual setting.
Okay. I'm going to need a third clue.
Gotcha. This remake is not nearly as impressive as when it was released in 1992.
Oh, man, I have no idea what this is.
Give up?
Yeah, I think I do give up, yeah.
Okay. It is Flashback.
Oh, my God. Okay, I should have gotten that one. And you're right. Knowing me, I should have gotten that one. I never would have guessed that.
Maybe the Amiga thing threw you off because it was released on Super Nintendo, and was it on Genesis too?
Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you know what? That's all right. You still got 7 more. Oh, I almost just said the game instead of the clue. Clue number 1, game number 4. This is a 1997 classic that was remade in 2010.
Okay.
Too vague.
Yeah.
Okay. All they did was take this game and turn it into Call of Duty.
This is what sucks. Eventually my brain just gives out and I'm like, okay, what are we talking about now? Okay. They took the game and made it into Call of Duty.
They took this 1997 game and just turned it into Call of Duty.
I don't know. I'm going to need that third clue.
You might get it here. This game is based off of a movie that was already old by the time the original game came out.
What? I don't know this.
Somewhere out there, Brian is screaming his head off. It is GoldenEye 007 Reloaded.
Oh my God. I can't believe that. I'm screaming my own head off. I need to focus. This is terrible, Keith. I'm making a terrible showing.
I think I might have psyched you out when I was like, you got 100 out of 100 on all the other times you've come on.
Well, I definitely didn't approach that. I got 1 right. I got 2 right so far. So I'm definitely happy I didn't eat the donut, you know?
Game number 5. This is a 2021 collection of remasters. So recent release.
Yeah, it is a recent release of remasters. Is it? All right, I'm going to take a second clue.
These are basically just more mobile ports on modern consoles. Damn.
Is this the GTA collection?
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The dumbest name for a collection of games: Grand Theft Auto : the Trilogy - the Definitive Edition.
Well, I mean, that pretty much sums it up.
Game number 6. This is a 2009 remake of a 1991 arcade game.
What year was the remake? What year was the remake released?
2009.
Of a 1991 arcade game. Okay, I'm going to need the second clue.
This is Ubisoft spitting right in Konami's face.
What?
So basically, Ubisoft remade a Konami game.
Right. And a Konami arcade game. Okay.
Still pretty vague. Konami had a lot.
It is very
arcade
vague.
games, I
It
guess.
is very vague. All right,
Well,
last clue.
This might help you a little bit. It is a time-traveling beat-em-up.
It's not Turtles in Time, is it? Like, they never remade that.
It is.
They remade Turtles in Time?
Yes, they did.
Wow. Awful.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time reshelled.
Wow. And it sucked, huh?
Yeah.
What a shame.
Pretty terrible. Game number 7.
Yeah.
This is a 2018 3DS remake of a GameCube launch game. I feel like that may have just given everything away. That clue is very generous.
Yeah, that's a big clue. A 3DS remake of a GameCube launch game. Okay, what's the second clue?
The controls of this 3DS game are scarier than the game itself.
Oh, is this this isn't like the Resident Evil remake or something? Did they put that on the 3DS?
I don't know if that was a DS.
If it's
game
not
or
the
a
game, then no,
3DS
I don't
game.
think they did. Yeah.
But no.
Okay.
I do know what game you're talking
All right.
about, though. The last clue. Luigi deserves better.
Oh, Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I had no idea. I knew they did the second game for the 3DS. I didn't know they actually re-released the original game.
All right, game number 8. This is a 2020 remake of a Sega Saturn game.
A 2020 remake of a what?
Sega Saturn game.
Okay. I was one of those Americans who didn't care about the Saturn that you referenced earlier. Just a heads up. I rented it once from my gaming store. I rented the whole console, and I did like it. I played it. I liked it. I just never fell in love with it. Second clue.
The main fault of this remake is that it's just too faithful to the original.
Is it like a Panzer Dragoon game?
It is Panzer Dragoon.
Okay. I'm like, okay, there are like Saturn properties.
Yeah. I was going to be like, I mean, to be fair, there's only like 3 Sega Saturn properties that were like popular, and it was one of them.
Yeah.
Number 9. This is a 2005 remake of a 2001 game.
Okay. Wow. Quick turnaround there.
Right.
All right. Second clue.
This is Microsoft squeezing the blood out of a new acquisition.
Oh. And it had to be Banjo-Kazooie remaster? No, because that wasn't 2001, right?
Banjo-Kazooie did not come out in 2001, no. I think it was like 98.
No. But it had to be a rare game. Was it Conker?
It is Conker. Conker : Live and Reloaded.
Yeah, with the little army helmet on him.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yep. The last clue was, to be fair, the original game wasn't good either, but at least it had naughty words in it. And number 10, by the way, 7 out of 10 ain't bad if you don't get this one.
All right, can I tell you what I think it is before you even give me a first clue?
Sure.
It's The Last of Us, or Last of Us Part 2.
Oh man, that would have been great. No, because
Okay.
Ryan, this is the monkey's paw. These are games that
I know.
are either horrible or underperformed or like just have bad.
You could be a bit of a contrarian, so I don't know what your opinion would be.
That's true. No, I'm sure
It could be a meta commentary about them making remakes so quickly.
Come on, Ryan. I'm not that smart. Okay. Number 10. This is a 2022 requel of a 1987 RPG.
All right. I need to hear the clue again. This is a 2022 prequel.
No, not prequel. It is a requel.
Okay, what is
it? A remake/sequel of a 1987 RPG release.
Did you say 1987?
Yeah, 1987. It's old game.
Is this like a Dragon Warrior game? All right.
Second clue?
I'm going to need another clue. No, wait. Do I know what this is? Hold on, is this Final Fantasy, what, Jack? What is it? What's the name of the game, dude? You know what I'm talking about.
I do, but it's just like your excitement. Yeah, I'm going to give it to you. It is Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins.
Yes, absolutely. All right, cool. Hey, wait a minute. I thought this was supposed to be bad games, dude.
Well, the second clue was this is not considered a bad game, but it was a massive flop.
Well, that's true.
And the last clue was the main character certainly does not give.
Wow,
this game was a flop. Jack
not while he's
care.
jamming out to Limp Bizkit. It's like budget Limp Bizkit. Oh man, great inclusion here.
Ryan, you only missed 2. 8 out of 10, man.
Wow, heck yeah,
that is a proper showing, man. That's good for not having done this in quite a while.
Yeah. I was after missing 2 in a row, no less. I thought I was on the downturn, so I think I turned out all right.
You did a good old Pat Mahomes and turned things around here.
Oh God,
I felt that, dude.
As a 49ers fan, I really hope the Chiefs don't win. I also hope the Eagles don't win. I'm in such a bad spot here.
Yeah, it sucks for most of the country. Anyway, that will definitely be dated by the time this comes out. Right. The Chiefs will be 3-time three-peaters at this point. That is the monkey's paw. Speaking of monkey's paw, Jesus. Hey there, guys. You know that I've always tried my best to run ads or sponsorships that are only relevant to the show. I'm not going to sit here and try and sell you beds or therapists or dick pills. If it has nothing to do with the program that I put out for you guys and it doesn't affect the show in a positive way, I'm not going to sponsor it. I do it by myself. It's my money. It's also some of your money, too. If you yourself would like to sponsor The Main Quest, you can head on over to patreon.com/The Main Quest. There's no obligation, just a lot of appreciation, and you get more show for your trouble. It's patreon.com/The Main Quest. That's it. Back to the show. Sound effects, and man, we already talked about the graphics a lot, so we can probably just talk about the music and the sound effects. And I'm sure everybody is aware of what I'm going to say here. So Ryan, did Tommy Tallarico con us into believing that this soundtrack is good?
Okay, here's the thing. There was a good baseline for the soundtrack to begin with, right? Like the movie exists, you know, and a lot of the early levels felt like they used the same, like the same songs from the Aladdin soundtrack, right? Like it did feel like it was trying to say, hey, you know this song from the movie and you like this song, so we're going to just make that the leveled like music. And it was fine. I mean, it was fine. It's well-composed music, but it's not unique in any way. Like, if you like the music of Aladdin, you probably know what you're going to get from this game. I will say there was some, like, original music, it felt like, when doing that rug ride and the escape from the cave. Like, that platforming level where you're escaping from the cave. That that sounded to me, somebody who hasn't watched the animated film in a while, like original music. And that was pretty cool. A little different, a little more like tense and upbeat. But yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
The one thing I have to probably take accolades off of is that like the music didn't really match with what was going on in the game that was trying to represent the movie, if that makes sense.
100%. They were playing like a whole new world during like the Agrabah rooftops level and stuff. It was weird. Yeah.
So it's like it didn't match up. I mean, if you didn't see Aladdin and you're playing this game, it probably doesn't matter that much, and you're not going to know what the songs are anyway. And with that in mind, I mean, of course, I'll never be able to separate the music in this game from the movie. But like, I was thinking that, and I'm like, is this soundtrack as good if I didn't already know the music? And I would say yes. As a noted Genesis sound chip hater, this is like probably some of the best music on the Genesis. Like, this is like the best use of that Yamaha chip. And with also on that same side of that coin, I mean, the voice samples that they do have in here, which is very few and far between, which I think is a good thing, because then I think they could get a little more power out of it with the samples that are in here. And it's like the clearest that I've ever heard in like any Genesis game.
Yeah, I think I should mention, I don't play a lot of Genesis games. Like you have, played quite a few, and you're kind of on this run of Genesis games at the moment. So you're very familiar with the sound chip, but that's not even something I considered when like passing judgment on the music. So that's a good point.
Yeah. There's like, when Sega tries to do voices and like voice samples on their hardware, it always just sounds garbled. You know what I mean? Like you think of like Altered Beast, right? And everybody knows like Rise from Your Grave. Like everybody knows that. And like that has like a garbled like quality to it. Like it's like coming out of like a weird like tin can or something. This doesn't have that. And so, yeah, I mean, that's really all I can say is that, yeah, it's good. And it sounds like the songs from the movie, that's all you can ask for in a licensed game. There's so many licensed games that I have played on this show where they didn't use a single theme song from the IP that it's pulling from, which is bizarre. But this does.
Frustrating too, because you're like, it's right there. It's right there.
Yeah. Yeah, like you've already got the license. Like what's stopping you from using the music? Yeah, this does the bare minimum, and it goes a little bit above and beyond, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool.
I think we're ready.
Yeah, let's put this genie back in the bottle and find out.
Baby,
Let's find
come on in, let me out. Sorry.
Let's find out if we would recommend checking out Disney's Aladdin on the Sega Genesis. And I think I'll kick this one off. I don't have many Sega games left to talk about in this era for me. And two things have constantly come up as I go through these games. Well, three, I guess, really. But they're the graphics and the gameplay. And the third one being the music, which, I mean, we just talked about, but I'll get to. I'm going to double down here on what I said on the Joe and Mac episode, in that the Genesis is not home to many good platformers. I felt like you had to take what you could get. A lot of them just feel off, and a lot of them also just simply sacrifice good game feel to the almighty pixel. You know, they want to make their games just look good. And that's, I mean, it was a graphics arm race back in the day. Who cares how the game plays? Look at these graphics. It's better than Nintendo.
Right.
But also at the same time, the Genesis also has some of the ugliest games that I've ever played on the show. Like, it's no contest. But Aladdin bucks both of those trends. Visually, this might be the best looking Genesis game maybe ever. So much so that it looks like something that would have been made today, like by an indie team or something. On top of that, there is some pretty competent gameplay. It's not perfect. Again, Aladdin's a little stiff and the hit detection's off, but it's not, like I said, you don't want to play the game by kind of like tapping on the D-pad, but that's kind of how you have to get through it sometimes. And the collectibles here, they're actually worth collecting if you want to keep playing more of the game. So it's kind of a good feedback loop, in my opinion. Whether or not you find the game worth finishing, that's going to be on you. Personally, I think the game kind of shows all of its cards after like 4 stages. It is mostly the same throughout, and in that way can get a little bit stale. And the music, like I just talked about, I mean, it's decent. It does the bare minimum. It does what it needs to do. Faithful renditions of the songs that you would want. And it doesn't sound bad either. And I'm sure Disney made damn sure that it wouldn't sound bad. So for the most part, I'm actually more positive on this game than not. I think if anyone asked, I would totally tell them to go check it out. It's it's the least offensive Genesis platformer out there. And I think it would be a pretty good addition to any Genesis library. So, Ryan, what do you feel? How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean,
are you okay?
If I'm kind of losing my voice. I want to, first of all, thank anybody who stuck around with me sounding like this. I don't even know. Like, I sound like I have a horn in my throat at this point. Okay, so, you know, I think I do disagree on the stale aspect, because I really liked how each level they kind of introduce a new mechanic. And while, like, the general gameplay does not change, it's a platformer. You're swinging your sword, you're throwing your apples. They do these little like gimmicks in each level, like, oh, here's the snake charmer, jump on the rope, it'll take you up like to a different platform, right? Or, you know, when you get to like the Sultan's dungeon, there's like the swanging balls, right? That like have cool 3D effects in the background, or the bricks that kind of move in and out. So they do these like little variations in the stage. You know, you go to the Cave of Wonders and it's like falling rocks and kind of a race against like getting out of their way. And I think it's those slight gameplay variations that take it above that staleness, where it doesn't need to be a change in like the control mechanics. It's just each level kind of introduces a different level mechanic to keep it, you know, somewhat stimulating. Overall, though, I would recommend this to somebody who is looking for a good platformer. I'm not the hugest fan of platformers. I'm also not like, I'm not super into retro games, right? Like, I don't have a retro gaming podcast, but at no point playing through Aladdin was I like, damn, I wish I didn't have to play this. And I think that speaks volumes because, you know, I play mostly modern games, and sometimes it's very tough revisiting these older titles and having a good time with them. They need to feel a certain way, or they need to be, you know, visually stimulating enough or just engaging enough to keep me playing. And Aladdin did. It's a shorter experience. It's like, you know, probably took me like 5 or so hours to make it through. But at no point was I bored or not enjoying myself or, you know, not being interested in what the game was showing me. So if you're a fan of Aladdin or the Genesis or platformers, like, yeah, I would recommend this game for sure. It's unoffensive. It's completely unoffensive, and it can be a lot of fun at times.
Yeah, I mostly agree. I also think it's strange because while I was doing research, just how many Aladdin games would keep coming out like long after the fact. Like, there was an Aladdin game that came out in like 2004, and it's like, what? Who's thinking about this?
They did a remake of this in Lion King in like a double package recently, right? For the Switch, I think.
Oh, did they?
So you could get both versions of both games, and it's on. I think it's on all current consoles, modern hardware. But hey, Keith, this cow isn't going to milk itself.
I was going to ask, did they remake the Aladdin port, but with like the actors from the live action version?
Yeah, they actually ran through like hazardous areas and did stop motion with them or motion capture with them. Yeah.
Hey man, I appreciate you coming on. I know you're not feeling the best. Glad you showed up. Glad you got through Aladdin here.
Yeah, sorry I sound like sandpaper, dude, but I thank you so much for having me on, man.
Everybody probably knows who you are, but in case this is somebody's first episode, let everybody know what you do on your corner of the internet.
Sure. I normally don't sound like this, but if you do want to listen to somebody who doesn't usually sound like this, you could go ahead and check out List Off Podcast with Brian and Ryan. We did like a year of sabbatical from doing lists, revolving around gaming, but we're back doing them again. So we're doing like our favorite handheld consoles, our favorite retro racers. Coming up, we're going to have an episode on our favorite weird games. And Keith will be a part of that. So, I'm really excited to be having guests back on the show and doing lists again. And I just want to thank you for being a part of that. And again, for having me on. It
was great to hear you guys doing top fives again. Felt nostalgic in a way, if that makes sense. Yeah, it was great. And I'm super stoked to come on the podcast and basically shoot the you guys again and just talk about some video games. Yeah, for sure, man. Looking forward to it. Next time on the show, it's the big one, guys. It's the big one. It's episode 100. And you'll never guess what game that I'm sharing that achievement with. Because I'm going to be talking about Sonic CD. That's right. I'm celebrating 100 with a Sonic game of all things. Can you believe it? You can never say that I don't appreciate Sonic ever. So until next time, make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves. And always remember, it's okay to like a video game.